Well, as promised, I'm back here and I learned a few things from last time. First, when I opened the die set and read the instructions, I learned that you have to disassemble the dies and clean them similar to what we did to the powder measure. So there's pretty good instructions in the die set how to do that. So I went ahead and disassembled them, cleaned them all, and then reassembled them according to the instructions. It was pretty straightforward. The only one that was a little difficult was the seating die, because I'm using a seating crimping die, and so that was quite intensive. So, but I did get it back together. I think I'm set on that. The other thing I learned is when I rotated my handle down, up and down, is that the shell plate didn't lock into the next position. It would go part way, and then I could touch it and it would go to the next. So what that did is it left me with a shell casing which was not centered in the die spot. So I had no idea what to do there. I finally found someone who would explain how to do a slide adjustment. It was simple. Took an Allen wrench on the balls at the bottom, which actually rotate the shell plate when it goes up and then when it goes down. So I learned a lot more about the press because of that process. Maybe you won't have the same problem. The last thing I ran into is that my primers would not feed. I filled my primer tube up with 100 primers, got ready to go, no primers would come through. Again, I had to call and try and find someone who would help me there, and the best information I got was to just keep trying and maybe loosen this one bolt on top of the primer slider a little bit so it could allow primer to go in. It did eventually. Took a little bit of playing around. I'm not 100% confident that a primer is going to come out every time because it was a little bit hit and miss. So that may be something I have to remedy here in the future. In the meantime, I thought we'd go ahead and install our dies, make sure they're set up and install them in the order that's in the manual, and see if we can start with there. Now, let's go ahead and do that right now. Hopefully that makes it a little easier to see. So the first die we're going to install is the sizer and deprimer. Now the instructions on that say that this depriming pin should come out between 1/4 and 3/8 of an inch out of the bottom of the die. And once you get that, you can finger tighten let me hold it for a second, finger tighten the lock nut here. Then it tells us to thread one of our die locks onto the die and put it in this first hole, the hole that's right next to this black thing here. And that will be where the first hole in the press. Then it says put it in, turn it about 1/8 of an inch, and then leave this loose. What we want to do is we want to raise the press, then we want to slowly turn this down just until it contacts the shell plate. Give ourselves plenty of space to do that. Okay, you can just feel it just contact the shell plate. Then we are instructed to go ahead and tighten our lock ring. Okay, so that's locked in. That's our first hole. Now we should be able to run a shell casing in there. It should size it and deprime it. Now, I purchased already deprimed shell, so we're not going to be able to see that part. but we'll just insert it in the space here. Run it up through the sizer. Can feel its size. If it would have been a primer would have dropped, and we take it out. And now as we go down, it's going to rotate again. And then if we push this handle forward firmly, we should be able to feel the primer seat in the bottom of the shell casing, which we did. And we can pull that out. We can rotate it once if we want. And when we pull that shell casing out, we see that the primer is in there and it's seated below the surface just nicely. So once I have the primer in, I'm ready to put the next die in, which is the expander die. Expander die is pretty simple. It just goes, has the expander part in there. It just goes in there and you'll adjust how high up the bullet comes, or sorry, the shell casing comes, to make sure that it's expanded enough for the bullet to fit into. So we'll do that now. We'll put the lock ring on. Go ahead and put it in there. Turn it about 1/8 of a turn. Should be able to loosen the lock nut up all the way. And what I'm going to do here is bring this up and then raise the press and then slowly go down until I contact the shell casing. Okay, I'm just hitting the shell casing there. So from there, I'm gonna go down about 1/2 a turn. And check my shell casing. What I'm checking for is that the bullet's going to slip into that easily. And it doesn't yet, so turn it down a little bit more and try again. The bullet just barely sticks in now, so we are getting close. I'll take smaller turns. Again, drawing the bullet in there. Fits in pretty easily. I think I'll go just a bit more so it starts easier. I think I have, once I have that where I want it, again, tighten the lock ring down. And there. Then the third die we'll install the same way. We're going to skip this hole, the next hole, because that's where the powder measure will go. And we'll go to this next hole here. So powder measure, then the cedar die. The cedar die, you can see the cedars there at the end. And then we'll put that in again. Turn it about 1/8 of a turn. And our die set in there. Again, we'll stop this video here and come back and just do that setup for the taper crimp die.